Hello, the subject matter for today's video might seem somewhat whimsical, but I don't think it should be treated that way. I think this is a serious subject that every investor, follower, fanboy of Elon Musk should pay real attention to. Hi, this is Randy Kirk, and if you like this kind of content, you are welcome to say so now or wait until you're sure. Please subscribe, push the notify, do all the good stuff, and then join Patreon. We haven't had any new members for 2 days, so we need new members to help us with our project there. But I'll go into that in greater detail in the morning version of this program. Okay, so what am I talking about today? We're talking about the fact that Elon Musk has gone through an epiphanal part of life on many levels, and I think it's showing up in some of the things that he's doing. Today just was the second time that I noticed a very different Elon Musk, different in his hairstyle, different in his way that he's taking care of himself, different in his style, difference in who he's talking to in world affairs. Different in a lot of ways, and by different, I mean grown up, more adult, like me. No, I'm kidding. I'm so much older than Elon, he could be my kid. However, I've been through all these processes, I've been through these stages, and so I have some ability to talk about it. I know that at age 50, I had a huge epiphany. My huge epiphany was that I started counting down rather than up. Up until age 50, it was all about what am I going to do in the future? Starting at age 50, it was how many years do I have left to accomplish what I'm going to accomplish on this earth? And so that's a very different thing. I'm not going to build a new business at a huge new business at age 60. Well, I grew lots and lots of businesses between 50 and today, but they haven't been designed as huge businesses. They've been designed as smaller, home-based businesses. So that's just to give you some idea. He's not at that age yet. I mean, yes, he's 51, and yes, he might have had that same epiphany. He's not done growing giant businesses, and I continued to build what was my largest company at that time as well, but I didn't start new companies that were huge and wild and crazy. So number one, he turned 51 this year, 50 last year. I think that's an age for an epiphany, and I think maybe he had one in terms of I probably need to see the world a little differently now than I have up till now. Not quite as wild and crazy. He's talked about the fact that you should take all your risks and make all your big mistakes in your 20s because you have lots of time to recover. That's one of my favorite statements from him, and highly recommend it to anybody who's entrepreneurial. But there's a certain point, when you turn 50, I think that is also changes your thinking. Number two, Elon's triplets are now college age. Not only are they college age, they are childbearing age. Or let's say that it's any one of his triplets at this point could get married and start having children. It is a very big deal to send your kids off to college. I've done that 4 times. Well, I've had 4 shots at that, let's just say. It is a big deal to have your kids get to that age. Number two, you start to think about the fact that they could get married and have children, and that is also sobering. And you're a little bit of a difference in your thinking about who you are when those are not only possibilities, but realities. So I think that could also be affecting Elon at this point. Number three, for the last over 1 year, he's been contemplating Master Plan Part 3. It's the third part in a trilogy. I'm not positive whether there will be a Master Plan Part 4. There might be. But basically, it is about a mature company, not a startup. So Master Plan Part 1 was definitely about a startup where he wanted to create vehicles that were electric vehicles that were compelling at a compelling price. Part two was to continue to expand that, but he was certainly not, the companies were not mature at that point. And now Master Plan Part 3 is saying, you know what, we've got mature companies here, and all we have to do now is really expand them rapidly. We need to find the raw materials and the capabilities to expand and finalize. It's kind of like a finalize the whole project with Master Plan Part 3. So that's, again, that is not necessarily age related, but it is project related. And so this is important. This is a critical milestone in my thinking in terms of what Elon might be contemplating at this point in life. So as a result of all of that, his adventures now rely on having alliances with other leaders. When you're scrappy and starting out, you're just trying to find a way to get the first product made and the second product made and find a way to free cash flow and making sure that the companies are not going to go bankrupt next week. When you're doing all of those things, your alliances are mostly with your investors, your suppliers, your employees. But at this point, when you're a mature company and you're trying to explode the growth, now you've become, in his case, a worldwide leader who has alliances and needs alliances with political folks, economic folks at a very high level. And in order to do that, I think you need to have a look and a way about you that is more mature, thoughtful, considering outcomes in advance, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that might be also affecting him. He's like, okay, I got to show up to these meetings. I got to look good in a suit and I got to have some really sharp suits in order to do that, et cetera. So it's just another one of the ways where I think that there's been a change. I think it's a visible and clear change. In the last 2 years, Elon Musk lost a lot more money in the stock market than you and I did. He lost a lot of money on Tesla. He lost a lot of money on Twitter. He was ridiculed for the losses that he had on Twitter. He has been mocked for the massive losses, the greatest losses in the history, because nobody could have lost that much before, because nobody had that much before. And going from number 1 in the world in wealth to number 2 in the world in wealth, these are not things that happen that are actually affecting how you pay for hamburger tomorrow, but they are affecting you mentally. I believe even as I think as calm as he is about his persona, about knowing who he is and being very, very clear on those kinds of things, not terribly concerned about what others think about him, you can't escape it. Nobody escapes it. So I think that these would also be causing him to go, okay, I've done a lot and it's time to settle down and finish the game. So this was also a year in which pretty much for the first time he was taking flack from top fans. He has taken flack from associates, from people that he was in business with, some of the folks at PayPal that kicked him out and stuff, or kicked him out, I guess, bought him out. So he'd taken flack before. I don't think he's worried about taking flack, but this year he was taking flack on Twitter from his really solid, bullish fans. And I think that could have affected him. Some of the stuff that was happening with Twitter and the way it was done, et cetera, et cetera. And he had a lot of folks, again, yes, you could think he's beyond that. No, I don't think so. I think it affects you. I think it has affected him. And then finally, I think another really big impact is he had to sell off some of his ownership in Tesla in order to do the Twitter deal, which he kind of lost interest in, maybe. I'm pretty sure that he at least was like, second thoughts at a certain point. So having to sell off that much Tesla stock, I think also probably was not a very happy day in his life. So these are some of the things he's gone through this year that I think have an impact on who he sees himself as and the kinds of things that I think he sees that he needs to do in order to be a major player on the world stage that is now going to usher us into the worlds that he's been building now for over 20 years that are going to be world changing, and he expects them to be world changing, and that maybe he thinks it's time to grow up. Anyway, I'm his biggest fan, written 2 books about him. How many of his fans have done that? But I think being old enough to be his dad, Elon, I congratulate you on showing a lot of maturity this year. And most entrepreneurs take a long time to really grow up, and now might be your time. So if you liked any of this, if it's helpful, if it gives you a little perspective that maybe you hadn't thought about before, like it, subscribe, do all those things, and join Patreon. It's been great talking to you.